Okay, the recipe for the Danish croissant dough is 55 grams of instant yeast, 160 grams of sugar, bread flour, and use a bread flour, don't use all-purpose. We need 1780 grams. I use quite a strong flour, and strong just means that it contains higher percentage of protein. Okay, zero it off, and on top of that we'll put the salt. It's 22 grams. Okay, so we want 80 grams of butter. 400 grams of milk. Pour that in there. I put in enough hot water, and I use straight hot water because the milk is cold. So we want to get this liquid up in temperature to about 90 degrees. Now you want to, in total amount of liquid, you want 1100 grams of liquid. Into the mixing bowl, I'll put the liquid, and I will use a thermometer just to make sure that it is at around 90 degrees. Give it a swirl here just to cool it down a little bit. Okay, that's all I need. And into there I put the dry ingredients: yeast, sugar, flour, salt, butter. That goes into there, and then onto the mixer. And I will put this on for 5 minutes on number 1, and we'll just let that knead up. Now you can see the dough is done. Sort of see. Okay, there's your dough. A bit on the sticky side, but you want it a little bit sticky, but it's not too sticky. Okay, I did not add flour, I did not add anything to that. This is going to make 2 1600 gram pieces, just gram, and that should be 2 1600 grams. Okay, so there's your 2 doughs. Those 2 doughs are now going to be put in a bag. Tie them up. Now poke a hole in, because the gases from the yeast will explode the bag if you don't. So you do need a hole in the bag, and just a small one. Okay, now this is going to sit on the table for about 30 minutes. We want it to actually start to rise before I put it into the refrigerator. It'll go from this after 30 minutes to a refrigerator. The refrigerator will hold them until tomorrow morning, or sorry, this afternoon, which about 6 to 8 hours from now, I'm going to roll the fat into these doughs. Today I'm showing you how to roll in the fat into a Danish or croissant dough. I'm going to use butter. This butter here, I'm using 700 grams of butter, and I've got a 1600 gram dough. Now this butter needs to be prepared in order to go into the dough. Now this is straight, basically room temperature. Now my room temperature here is probably around 68 degrees or 18 degrees Celsius, so it's a bit cool, but that's good for this butter. So I want to pound it down. We're going to pound it. I'm just using a plastic bag to hit it, and of course this I've just made with a 2x4. It's all I really need, just to pound down the butter. I need to make it so that it is a little more flexible and not rigid. Okay, and I use a scraper to move it up and get it into a square is what I need from this. I need to make sure that it's the right consistency. Don't be afraid to pound it. Okay, so now you can see that it's almost a plastic consistency. That's what we're looking for. Now this square that I'm making for this is around 8 inches by 8 inches. That's all you need, that. Now, under the plastic, we're going to take our dough and we're going to make it into a rectangle. Fold it over, pinch down the sides, like that. Make sure that the butter won't be able to get out. Okay? Okay, that's that. Now, a little flour on the bottom, a little flour on the top. Now we're going to roll it out in the opposite direction that I folded it. A little more flour so it doesn't stick to the table. Now we're going to roll this out approximately 26 inches long. Like that. Now I can tell because the rolling pin from this end to this end is around 26 inches. So I use that as my guide to do. Now, we want to make sure there's no flour on it. Fold it over to a third. Fold the other half over. Turn it once. Okay. We're going to roll this out one more time. Now remember, we're making croissant dough. And croissant dough is different than puff pastry. This is yeast leaven, and I can roll this twice in one time. Again, I use that to make sure it's around the right length. Take off the flour, fold again in thirds, like that. Twist once. Now this dough is ready for the third and final roll. However, this must rest for about 8 to 10 minutes before I can roll the final turn. Okay, now that we have the dough sat in the refrigerator overnight. Next morning, and it's pretty early this morning, so that rolled out. Just put a little flour down. Out 18 by 25, 26. Now this rolling pin is 18 inches from here to here, and it's 26 inches from here to here, so I know I can use that as a ruler. You can just get a ruler and measure it out yourself. This piece is quite handy, so that's 18. It's not quite long enough. You have to make sure you dust off the flour. Don't leave the flour on. Flip it over. Do the other side. Now it will shrink a little bit because I've moved. I want to make sure that it's still around that same size. So just roll it out a little bit to get that size again. There you go. Now, we're going to cut this. This will make 3 sections of 6 croissants, but today I'm making 12 croissants, so we're taking a section here, 6, 6, and then here I'm going to divide it up, and I'm going to get 10 Danish from that. So I use a ruler, and 8 inches is my size for a croissant. Now you can make them smaller or larger, it's really up to you, but this dough makes 3. Now I take this one and I divide it in half. That will be croissants, Danish. These will be the croissants. Okay, so then we take this, Make sure the flour's off of it. Because it has a natural curve here at the corners, I'm going to cut that off. So that's going to be cut off anyway. And we'll make 6 out of this. 6. Croissants. And out of this I'm getting 10, so 5 each. Cut off the ends. And we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for my Danish, we're going to cut the ends and we'll make them into what's kind of like a pinwheel. Going to roll the croissant. Now there's you can cut this piece here. It's a French way of doing it by cutting this and rolling it, and it helps to split this. Now you'd only cut a tiny little piece like that, and that helps to roll it up. I don't bother. It's unnecessary. That's basically your croissant. Now you can make a baker's croissant by doing it and curving them in. That's a baker's croissant. You make whatever you like, just make sure you roll them tight, pull this out at the end, and just roll it right on top of it. I leave them like that. That's how I make my croissants. Now the Danish, we just take this and you're basically bringing the same corner up on each one into the center, putting that into the center like that, using the heel of your hand, push down, make sure that they go into the dough so that they don't unravel. Okay, so now that they've been proofed, the croissants and the Danish, they're ready to go into the oven. It's been about an hour and 10 minutes in the proofer. Okay, now we're going to egg wash them, and it's just basically eggs and a bit of water, and you want to cover each one with some egg wash. Now for the Danish, I use pastry cream or custard. We call it pastry cream, and I pipe a little in the center here. This oven is at 375. For 11 minutes. And then I'll turn the trays and cook them for at least another 4 to 5 minutes. Take out the croissants. Okay. Danish. Okay, and then when they cool down, we'll put fruit on top of them, glaze them, and put some nice white fondant on them.